Yo guys, what's up? Soccer Fishing here. Welcome back to the channel. It is me. You haven't seen my face in like a month. The last video I uploaded was literally a month ago today. But today we're going to be doing what is inside my pond tackle boxes. Now, this is all the stuff I have, like organized and stuff. So this is kind of a tackle arsenal, sorta. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Alright, so the first thing I have, obviously, you gotta have your Senkos. These are here, the Strike King shimmy sticks, or as I like to call them, shmee sticks, or the Hool calls them shmee sticks. But these are really good in like every pond you go to, and it's good to see if there is bass in the pond. Alright, so then in the first box, you can see it is my crankbaits. Let me go ahead and pop this open and show you. We'll start from this side and go over. These are my lipless / rattle traps. So I got this like rip-off red eye shad from Walmart. It does not really have a red eye, but it's kind of the same design. And I got this lipless crank from Bass Pro. This deep diving Rapala. I got my two scatter wraps. I got the shad and the craw. And this is my favorite crankbait, the Lucky Craft Sunfish. Then I got this white one for crappie. And then these are my two KVD ones. So this is really good in a pond that we fish all the time. And then this is just good for lakes. I haven't really thrown this one too much, but I'm excited to see how this works. I already know this works a ton in the fall, so that's my crankbait box. Now let's move on to worms. Alright, so the first worm we have in here is just some like crappy, wacky worm. I have a bunch of them in two different colors, as you can see here. And then you guys might remember these. Wait, no you don't, because we haven't uploaded that video. But pink worms, we tried fishing with these. I haven't caught anything yet. Next, we have these Magnum Zoom Finesse worms. Really good for little bass when you clip off the top. Works really well. This is Rami's favorite bait right here, actually. These watermelon rib worms, they work pretty well, but I'm not a huge fan of them. And then next up, we got one of my favorites, the Dynapaddle Bass Dynasty worm. And then the last thing in the worm box is obviously the very, very stretchy Ned Rig. I love these. I got them for my birthday. They work very well for spawning bass because they're nice and small and compact. Very hard not to get a hookup with them. Next, we got, looks like a Craw box. Alright, so let's go ahead and pop open this. Okay, I'm gonna start this and then go like this. So this is my favorite one. Favorite Yum Craw I have. I'm not really sure what this color is. It's probably the most realistic color. I just call that pumpkin, I guess. I don't really know. That's not what it is, but then I got this like June bug. Then I got the best one for jig trailers, watermelon red. Then I got this like black cherry sort of thing here. And then these are my favorite craws, these little tube craws. I'm not sure who made these. I got them at the fishing expo. I have a video, but they're really good. They have amazing action. And then on to my least favorite craws I have. They've got to be the Bass Dynasty Craw, because if you rig these without a jig head, they float, and it's super annoying. And I hate rigging my stuff with jig heads because it gets all weedy and stuff. I like to fish craws like a swimming motion, not a bottom like tick up and down. Unless if it's the Guggen craws, then I do that. But we have this. It doesn't have good action in the water. It just looks good, but like it doesn't have good action because when it bounces, it just goes back down. Like these things don't do anything. Speaking of Guggen craws, here is the Guggen Kraken Craw. Amazing jig trailer and amazing bait to fish alone. It smells perfect. It doesn't smell bad. It almost smells like coffee and like rubber or licorice or something. But yeah, there's that. Alright, so there's the Craw box. And next is probably the most boring box, terminal tackle. So I have my rigs in here, which is just like a bunch of just a bunch of rigs I have in there. High-low rigs, saw-guy rigs. These are probably my favorite hooks. These Ned Rig finesse shrooms. And I got some Strike King jig heads for craws or swim baits. But this is what I usually use for swim baits. These like front-weighted jig heads. Then I have a bunch of just random hooks. Then I got some, if I can get one out, Texas rig hooks. And I also have my wacky worm hooks. As you can see, pretty wide gap. So there's my terminal tackle. Probably the most boring. And next up, we have swim baits. Now, I'm going to get a lot of debate in the comments, but I have flukes in my swim bait box because, you know, where else would I put them? This is the Zoom Super Fluke. Something on it. And the like minnow color. Really good color. Remember, it's got a 4.5 pound bass on this thing. He was a big guy. Then we got the nasty smelling Kytex. These work really well for spawning bass. Anything that, I mean, bass will eat anything in the spawn. They go by scent though. That's why like it's scent and sight for them. They don't really like feel the lures. That's why the Kytex is really good. Then I have these three, which are Grand Bay lures. We got this like watermelon thing with the red tail. This thing is used, these two, oh, this one's used in saltwater. These two are not. So this is a saltwater bait. You got this like shad sort of thing with a bluegill sparkle in it. And you got this like watermelon, I'm not really sure what color that is. All right. Last box, creature baits. You gotta have creature baits. The pond we fish at, Carr Pond, if you don't have creature baits, you're missing out. If you don't have a creature bait, a lizard, or like a brush hog, like in here and stuff, and if you don't have a jig, anything that works well in shallow can be used at ponds. I'm just saying, like, especially the pond that we fish at, that like half of it is shallow, and then you go out to the deep. So it's like really good to have your creature baits and drop shots and stuff. So in here we have 3 different colors of lizard. These are big lizards, like these are really big ones. The watermelon red works really well, and I'm sorry if my voice sounds really weird, I like just woke up. So 3 different colors. Then I like to call this one Margarita. I don't know why, it just kind of sounds like it. This one's missing a limb because I've caught a fish on this exact one. These have super good action in the water. Next, I call this one Plasma. I've never caught a fish on this one. I've thrown it a couple times. It's just weird, you know, like it doesn't stand out. Then these are actually the Zoom Power Lizards. It's green pumpkin color. Then we got some like June Bug. This is the second best working lizard. The Zoom obviously being the first, but. And then we got something else I got from the Fishing Expo. These like kind of brush hog things. These things are just action packed. You have no idea. Every single limb on here like turns, so it's very good for catching finicky bass. All right, so that's done with this box. We have one more to go, and that is extra lures, like other lures that don't fit into other categories. So the first thing we have here, creek chub swim bait. These are very good for fishing in rivers because it's kind of multi-species. You don't really know what you're going to catch on these. But I've had a giant bass chase these. I was fishing this in a pond. Giant bass just nipped the tail. Just like a barely, boom, that's it. But if you catch anything on a swim bait this big, it's going to be a big bass. So next we have the River 2C Whopper Plopper. If you don't have a Whopper Plopper this time of year, you are missing out. I'm so sorry. If you don't have a Whopper Plopper this time of year, you're missing out. It's the best bait, hands down, for summer. I mean, behind a frog, it's the best bait, hands down. And I have the fat one, because this one makes a lot of noise. And then next up, which I actually just got this one yesterday, as you can see, I haven't trimmed the tail yet, but it is the Booyah Pad Crasher. My old frog, which is destroyed, the Walmart one, I finally got a better frog. The nice Booyah Pad Crasher. Like, look at the detail on this thing. As you can see, why I didn't get any hits on this thing, it's just white on the bottom. But this, it looks like an actual frog, which is good. Next up, we have this little Rebel Owl. The Rebel Mini Popper, really good for little bass. And next up is everything that has or had a skirt. Or like just spinnerbaits in general. So next up is my first chatterbait, black and blue. I think this is Z-Man. No, this is just the original chatterbait, which I think it's by Z-Man, but I'm not sure. So I don't like this one a lot because it's not very good. It sinks way quicker than the one I always use, the trusty Z-Man one. Now, what's better about this chatterbait and the Z-Man, they look identical, because if they don't look identical, they're not going to have similar action in the water. But if you can see, look how much more skirt this thing has than this one. You can see the hook. This one, it's a little bit more disguised. You see what I mean? And like this looks just plain silver. This is kind of disguised. So when a bass grabs onto it, you're good. And also this is just way more detailed. If you can see that there. Little fish head. And this one just has just like a jig head thing. Alright, next up we have my trusty, okay, everything's coming out of focus. My trusty spinnerbait, like I was saying. Spinnerbaits in carp on fire when the water is nice and murky, but right now it is clear AF, so we have to be throwing froggy or some crankbaits. So what's good about this thing, it's all the same color. So when it's in the water, it's going to look like a schooling minnow. Schooling minnows, because it's going to be flashing this, and they can see this. Next up was the old spinnerbait that I would use all the time when I caught my first bass of 2019 on, but the skirt's gone now. I need to get a new one for it. This was Heat. Like, the bass love this thing. Okay, so next we have the classic Johnson beetle spin, because you can't go wrong with a beetle spin. Then I got the Strike King micro spinnerbait, really good for that pre-post spawn, because they're looking for small lures. You gotta use the spinning on this one though. Takes a lot of practice to cast. Then we just got the OG $1 Walmart spinnerbait. Works really well actually, but there you go. Now we put all this back. Just give us a little recap, because this is it. And I also have these Lunker Hunt Maybugs. Lunker Hunt, follow me on Instagram, which you want to, right there. But these things are straight flames for bass that are so close to shore, because they smell, they look good, and they have really good action in here. If I take one out, let me show you here. I got these for crappie at Buckeye Lake, and I never caught anything, so I used them for bass. Look at that. Look at that thing. It's so weird. Bring them up jig head or on a very small hook. It's the bait jar by Lunker Hunt. So really good for the little bass. So recap. There you go. So there you go. That is my entire tackle right there. That is everything that I bring to ponds. I have a little bit more at the brand new corporate office, which is where all my fishing stuff is. It's a smaller room, but I like it a lot more. But this is everything. I hope you guys did enjoy this longer video. It's going to take so long to upload. But I hope you guys did enjoy. With that being said, now we wait for Brandon to think of a cool catchphrase. Well, while we wait, let's do the bass tip of the week. When you buy a brand new topwater frog, make sure you trim the skirt. Make sure to set the hook. Bye.